Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through. Every Wednesday night, new topics ignite. Join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.
I like that.
Welcome again, everybody. Welcome to Life Chat Podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. I just want to start off by saying, just to talk about something on the light side for now, meaning something that's just the icebreaker, actually. The weather. This weather, it was so beautiful today. It was time for me myself personally, to take time out and go enjoy myself in the fresh air, the sunshine, get a little tan, spend some time with my family. Actually, spent some time with my sister today. But and it was all that was leading up to this episode here. It was just time for me to clear my thoughts, get myself together for this information that we're about to receive. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of information, some stuff that I had no clue about. I really don't know much about the topic. The topic for tonight is actually the topic is a warrior's story. We're dealing with cancer. We're talking about the issue of cancer. So we're talking about awareness. We're talking about symptoms. We're talking about treatments. But we're just also going to talk about some real life stuff. That's what we do on Life Chat Podcast. The slogan is real life people discuss real life experiences and offer real solutions. So tonight we have a very special guest. We have a guest in the house that I'm not even sure she really fully remembers me, man. But I met her a good woman, but also a very informative person. So we're talking about Miss Vonda Smack, a survivor, cancer survivor, and a warrior, advocate, community activist, community leader, ACLU involved, NAAC involved. I don't know how far I'm going to have to keep going with this, but I'm sure it's a long list. But I'm going to let you give a little bit more about yourself, Miss Smack.
Okay. So a lot of people back in the day knew me as a party promoter. I don't do that anymore. A lot of people know me for helping independent artists. I've slowed down on that just because of my fight, with breast cancer. I started in 2022. You know what I'm saying? Going to get my normal mammogram. I had skipped the previous year because of COVID, and I said, I'll just do it this year. When you turn 50, you have a lot of different tests that you have to get, and mammogram is always on the list for women. So I didn't think nothing of it because I've been getting them since I was like, I don't know, late 30s. And they always came back negative. So this one came back positive, and it just changed me mentally. I not supposed to question God, but I did because I had so many great things going on at the time, things I was advocating for, running up and down the state of Delaware, meeting with people with lived experience on probation, getting their stories. I was just doing a lot, and also with police reform. And everything stopped. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't be that community leader that everybody, people would call me, asking me questions, asking for resources, and I just couldn't do that because I had put myself first, So I'm gonna stop right there, but everybody knows me as an activist. I raise a whole lot of ruckus at people's city hall. Don't even have to be the city I live in, but I'm showing up because I heard there's a problem. That's just who I am. I'm for the people.
That's part of being a community. That's part of being an activist. That's part of being involved in the community, no matter if it's your community. One thing we had to get past is different that's like separating ourselves. We're all one community, actually. But
Mm-hmm.
people get so stuck on I'm from here, I'm from there. No, we're all one big community if we really look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to say something about well, when you talk about the breast cancer, I've never really paid attention to the fact. I'm sure that a lot of people haven't, but I think sometimes we as men we overlook the fact that uh, of breast cancer, and really don't think about men having breast cancer.
Oh yeah.
But I googled it. And actually, I had something that I wanted to put up on the screen, but I forgot to set it up. So I'm just going to read it off. It says, yes, men can get breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot more rare for men to develop breast cancer. Actually, it's only like 1%. So like I think it's one in every thousand, 1 in every 1,000 men would develop breast cancer. And actually, I think the age that we normally, uh, in recent years, maybe normally develop breast cancer is, I think, between 60 and 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But it can, I mean, there are sometimes when people younger can develop breast cancer, but we really don't think about that as being a man because we're always stuck on as hearing women developing breast cancer because it's more common. But
Mm-hmm.
um, with the breast cancer part, with the cancer, because there's several types of cancer, not just breast cancer, but with cancer itself. When did you? I just want to like your fight, your story, because this is your testimony.
Mm-hmm.
When did you actually realize that you developed the
I,
breast
I
cancer?
I'm gonna tell you, it all happened. Got the call. It all happened so quickly. May of 2022 is when I found out I had breast cancer. I had to go and get a biopsy done, and that biopsy um, said that I had breast cancer. I found out that it was HER2 positive. Okay, and so they did genetic testing to see if it was something within my family, and it's not. I'm like the first one in my family to have breast cancer. My mother, she had multiple myeloma, which is a type of cancer. I got tested for that too, and I didn't have those genes. And my father, he also had cancer. He had prostate. So this breast cancer that I have, HER2 positive, from what the medical team said, it came from a procedure I had done when I was in my 30s, and it's a hysterectomy. And so at the time, I'm thinking I had a full hysterectomy, when in actuality, everything was taken except for they left my ovaries because they didn't want me going into menopause at such a young age. So those ovaries produced too much progesterone, and that's what caused me to get breast cancer.
And you just mentioned a word that I don't even think I remember hearing. What so
Yeah,
progesterone?
yeah,
I'm a male. I'm a male.
yeah.
So
It's a type of hormone. That's just my case. It's different for everybody, but this is my case. I was producing too much progesterone. So it's a hormone that women have in their body. And so that's how they said I got the breast cancer, because it's high estrogen regulator 2 positive. That's what HER2 is, the type of breast cancer. And so I was faced with the option of either, I could get a lipectomy where they cut it out and I have to have a chemo and radiation afterward, or I could get a double mastectomy. That's when they take both. So,
yeah.
thanks to my mentor Lisa, I had said, "Hey, I'm a tomboy. I don't need these things. I'm gonna just tell them cut it off because I don't want to come back here again." I don't
Not
want,
the
just
la-
take them both. I don't want. I know, man. I don't want to. I don't want to go through this no more. It's a lot mentally, and I didn't want to go back through it, and I wasn't taking no for answer. But when I got in there and I told them what I wanted to do, they laughed at first, and they're like, "Miss Smack, doesn't work like that." And I trusted the doctor when she said that I could do a lipectomy and get it all. And she said, "Miss Smack, you won't have to go through this again." And so, I trusted that doctor, and I got the lipectomy. I have no feeling under my right arm because they took the lymph nodes too. I think about 9 to 10 lymph nodes were also taken from underneath my arm so that the breast cancer would not. Because sometimes people have them in their lymph nodes. So they did
Yep.
that. And so, I was happy. Okay, we got this surgery done. Couldn't tell that I could feel the chunk, a little incision, and that's what happened. And then, we're also working on getting my mental health straight because I know I'm about to do chemo after the
Mhm.
surgery and radiation. I'm gonna tell you, Derek, I never had to deal with mental issues, before. You know what I'm saying? And I'm real in tune with myself now, but I was all over the place. I told my mom and I told, my mentor, I see why people give up on treatment. I see why because I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Got a
So
hold.
I came up with that fight like smack, brother. I had to because I've never been a person to give up on anything. And it took a lot of people keeping me encouraged. And I'm fighting it now. This is my second battle.
When when you mentioned about the mental health side, like you had to get your mental health in order, right? And get so you're talking about preparation, and preparing yourself for the just dealing with the whole situation and understanding and accepting the fact that this was your reality. I'm saying this because some people are going to watch the episode later, and you never know who we're gonna touch or who you're gonna be in tune with, and so I just want like other people to be able to understand that they're not alone, and
Right,
sometimes my whole thing is with I normally discuss substance abuse and mental
right,
health together, but and this is not too far off. There's not too much difference because they're both a disease and they both play a major part in our thought processes. And you just mentioned about how you had to prepare yourself. So
yeah.
what?
So when I say, the mental health, I went into a depression because this first go around, I was depressed. I wasn't eating. I kind of was shutting down the outside world and just like mad. Like, why me? I ain't gonna lie, I questioned God almost every day, and then I realized I didn't have the relationship that I needed to be with him. You know what I'm saying? And that'll
That's
come
why.
later down in the story. I'm gonna tell you about that. But I was mad. Um, as I went through chemo, I didn't understand the changes in my body, my hair falling out. You know what I'm saying? I went bald. I lost all the hair on my body. Like that messes with you mentally. And even though I may come across as this tomboy to everybody, as a woman, you have no hair. The way you look, you know what I'm saying? Not to go too detailed, but my breasts do not look the same. So, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're just like, So all of those things I had to deal with. Um, and then your job. My job threatened to get rid of me while I'm going through treatment. They wanted me to come back to work. So you're like, yo, how am I going to survive? Like everything was hitting me. And it took people coming into my life that I didn't know. Um, because at one point in time, my mother had thought I was being suicidal. She thought I was thinking of suicide, but I wasn't because I was always going to the war, right? Port Mahon, my favorite place to go, brother. And
Yeah.
after chemo, I go there, and I was talking to the Most High and just trying to hear His voice. and what is going on, speaking my affirmations. And my mom, she thought I was going there because thought I was trying to, end my life. But I told her, nah, I needed something outside of the room where I am, doing, recovering from chemo, recovering from radiation. My bedroom, it became dark all the time. You feel me? And I needed to go to that water, and I go there daily, and I just speak affirmations, and then I really someone gave me a Bible, right? And so I go there and I start reading the Bible. It took me a while before I started to, truly sink in with my God. You know what I'm saying? He started speaking to me. And the birds would come up. People thought I was crazy. I start taking videos. I'm speaking. Look at these birds coming over. You know what I mean? Listening to me. And I was just like, I had to deal with me because I've never had nothing this drastic happen to me. You know what I mean? And when you think of cancer, and if you're uneducated about cancer, we all think death.
Death immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately, that's what we think. And so our minds are going every which way. And I got a great psychiatrist and counselor. I was very happy, once I started getting the treatment, because had I not, got that mental health service in my life, I don't know if I'd be here, bro. I'm gonna keep it
That's
real.
that's why I asked a question for to you earlier, because a lot of time that's the key right there, because sometimes like some of the stories that we hear about people taking their life, or people going over the deep end in other ways, is because didn't reach out, or maybe they didn't have the support, or they didn't have a way to vent, or just and then also to gain information about the fact that it's not a death sentence. you know
Exactly.
um as far as the treatment part, that's the and that's a I've seen people go through it to a degree, um but I don't know much about the treatment side. So is there any information that you have as far as the treatment side of chemo and these different treatments that they have for cancer? I know it's draining. I know that. I've seen
Yeah.
people come out of their treatment and they're like drained. They barely can walk sometime, just
Right.
fully drained. So
So
can you give us a little?
yeah. So with the treatment portion, it's a formula to it all. You feel what I'm saying? My chemo was one type of chemo at first, and then I got into the harsh stuff. But you got to remember, we're putting chemicals. This chemo are deadly chemicals. Like, they got the orange label on the bag. You know what I mean? With the black and saying hazardous. Some of them. Okay, I'm gonna say some of them. What I had that,
What
and
is what
hmm?
is the bag? You said that you mentioned a bag. What is the bag?
Oh, okay. So for chemo, you get it injected into your body. So I got a port here on my chest, and that is where they put a
What do you
port in
inject?
so that I could receive chemo. And so it's almost like you ever seen people get dialysis,
Yeah.
or you ever
Yeah.
seen someone who's died
Yeah.
dehydrated and they got to get fluids in their body? That's the
Yeah.
setup, but it's
I've been there.
all dangerous chemicals going into our body to kill the cancer cells. You know what I'm saying? And so the first time I did treatment, I was like, oh, I got this. The first one, I was like, oh, this is all right. I can handle this because I didn't feel nothing. By the second and third one, oh, I was like, oh, I couldn't eat. I was tired all the time. My fingernails started turning black. Some people lose their fingernails, but mine turned black. And then the hair started falling out. So the treatment is actually formulas that these doctors create. And it's all based upon your blood work, the type of cancer you have. You know what I'm saying? And I got this one that's called the Red Devil. I don't know their technical names, but everyone calls this the Red Devil. It is the highest of highest of chemo. And I had to get that for a whole week, every day.
That's that
Altogether, I
just
had,
sounds harsh.
yeah, it is hard. Altogether, I had close to 20. 20 treatments. You know what I'm saying? Of chemo going into my body, and then I had radiation, which was 2.5 months of radiation every day. But they call me miscontrol the narrative because I some days, and that's the other thing. We as black women, we know our body. I know my body. And I said, hey, I can't do treatment today. There's days I had to thinking I'm getting chemo, and I'm telling y'all I'm dehydrated. So I get hydration. You know what I mean? Getting the fluids back in because you don't even have that energy to drink water. You're just laying there. You rather
Don't
in your sleep because you're
don't be bothered.
right. It's a tired that I've never had the experience before. You know what I'm saying? And then the part with the radiation, that's like whew, getting a real bad, like somebody burned you through scalding hot water on you. You feel what I'm saying? But you don't, it's not all at one time. When you're getting those treatments, it leads up to it. You got these lamps on your body and they just radiating this, working where the cancer is and breaking it up and burning it, basically. But it burns from the inside out.
And to me, to the untrained ear, or to somebody that hasn't been through or dealt with it, that sounds like, to me, it don't sound like a treatment to me. That sounds like a torment to me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to say,
now
but that's what it sounds like to me.
if
But
you want
I
to
don't know.
live, if you want to
I,
live, it's treatment. But
yeah,
that's me explaining it in my own breaking it down and not being so technical. But
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's
I
how it
thank you for
is.
not being so technical because I wouldn't understand the word if you was going to be super technical anyway.
Yeah, I could tell you when you looked at my body, you would have thought that I had to use burn cream to heal myself because my skin, you ever see somebody get sunburn and then their skin is
Yeah,
peeling?
it's peeling.
That's
Yeah,
how it
I had that
is,
on top of
but
my head
more
one time.
yeah, that's how it is, but more severe. We are black people. We don't get sunburn like that. You know what I'm saying? Unless we really directly in there. I mean, because we don't try to be in the sun that long. But yeah, that's how it was. That's the best that I can explain it. My radiation treatments, but without that, I probably wouldn't be here speaking to y'all today.
Okay, so hashtag Fight Like Smack was developed by you, for you, and for other people. That's the I want to get into that too. So what brought on? How did you come up with the Fight Like Smack? And can you explain a little bit more what it's about? What the advocacy is for?
Okay, so the fight like smack is really the smack part. I'm gonna tell you how it came about because everybody I know in my family is strong. You know what I'm saying? They strong warriors. And I've always been the baby. I'm the baby. They don't tell me things about my dad and mom, or I'm like the last one to work me up, to tell because I'll just cry, cry, cry because those are my parents. And so the fight like smack, I said, man, I gotta get something to empower me, to encourage me to get through this. And so I thought of my parents because they're my biggest heroes. They both went through cancer. My dad prostate, my mom multiple myeloma. They said my mom, they didn't know. My mom was told, really, my mom not supposed to be here, but she did a study at Helen Graham, and my mom is still here. You know what I'm saying? So the smack part is really, and with the pink heart behind it, that is for my parents. And I needed to fight like them because they fought their cancer at a much later age than I was at my present age. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what it comes from. It's what gives me my energy. Those are the two that every day receiving phone calls. My mother with me at every chemo appointment. I had no, it's what boosted me to keep going. Fight like smack because they're warriors. And the smack is Howard Smack, Patricia Smack.
So this whole, I'm glad you said it because this whole time I'm thinking it was just based on everything that you went through. I guess everything that you're going through, everything you're dealing with. But now I come to find out, it's not even about that. It's about you basically pushing yourself to fight like
My
your
family.
parents.
Yep. Fight like my
Yeah.
parents.
See, that's what I'm talking about when I say enlightenment. You know,
Yeah.
because I'm specifically thinking it's just about you, and it's actually about you pushing yourself.
Yeah.
All right, okay, that was a little enlightened, but
And
all right,
now it's a resource for other people who may be going
that's
through any type of cancer. And if someone's going through something heavy in life, that's why I share my story openly. It's for them to, continue to fight like smack, because I'm showing you how I'm fighting through. I'm showing you the pictures of me bald headed, but I'm still going. You know what I'm saying? So, you may have someone who's going through a divorce. Hey, baby girl, fight like smack. Come on, keep pushing. Don't give up.
motivation,
Yeah,
and encouragement.
right.
All right, so with so is that an actual? Is there a foundation? Is there something set up for people that may be dealing with as far as information? Is there something set up that you that's under you where people can contact you or information or
We I'm gonna tell you, it was supposed to launch this year, right? But I'm back fighting cancer again. I'm gonna keep it real. I have a board, I have all of that. It's gonna become a nonprofit, but I needed to concentrate on health first. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And what it is made to do, we're already doing, which is mentoring to myself, Lisa, and Ronnie. We just started with the Warriors Speak, the podcast, to start there, but it will be becoming a nonprofit as soon as, it's just too much going on for me health wise and trying to still work while I'm, fighting.
I'm glad you mentioned that as well. So, like before we get into the second part um, of the episode, you just mentioned Lisa and Ronnie. Okay, and you mentioned you also have a platform
Mm-hmm.
where you disperse information. What is the
Right.
topic? What is the title of your platform, and what is it about?
Okay, you talking about Warriors Speak?
Warrior
Warriors
Speak.
Warriors Speak is our podcast, and I had expressed to Lisa when I found out that I got it the second time. I was like, "Yo, this is something on my bucket list. I want to do. I want to educate people, because we haven't even got into the heart of why I really created the Warrior Speak yet. We've just mentioned about it a little bit because I was waiting on a legislator to notify me about something that I brought to their attention, because a bill needs to be put out. And so I said, let's start off interviewing people, letting people who are fighting cancer to come on and tell their story, because I feel like if you tell your story, it lightens the load of what
Yeah,
you're going through, and you may start to feel a little bit better for yourself and help somebody out. Because to be real, brother, we as black women, we're very prideful. I don't
of
care
course.
what nobody say. Black people are prideful. They don't want to let nobody know, especially the woman
You
who
got to tell
holds
me
the
twice.
household together. Nobody wants to say, "Hey, I got cancer." You know what I mean? Hey, I need some help. Nobody want to ask for help. And so I said we need to start sharing our story, so that and encourage other mothers and young, because people to go and get their mammogram. It's not a shameful thing.
Yeah,
Nobody in our culture want to talk about cancer. You know what I'm saying? But the treatments now were a lot better than what it was 20 and 30 years ago. People are living longer. You see what I'm saying?
understand. Also, on
And
top of that,
so
it's not when you mentioned about people not being not wanting to share about what's not wanting to talk about or disclose what's going on with them. When you do have your episodes on your podcast, it's still that's another part of the community that we talked about earlier.
mhm.
When we feel like it's not just us, like there's other people that's dealing with the same situation or have gone through the same situation, and they
Mhm.
understand, they empathize, not sympathize. Don't want people to feel sorry for us. We want people, to understand what we're going through, and
Right.
that's like building a community because now people are going to reach out then you can share information with them. They can share with you, and you don't feel left out. You don't feel alone. Like, you can do it. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what we talked about earlier about sharing information and having people to feel like, um, the fight like smack. I can do it because somebody else is doing it. If they can do it,
Mhm.
why can't I? Right? And you mentioned
Well,
about
it's gatekeepers.
you mentioned, yeah, you mentioned about the legislative bill, and I caught that. And I also mentioned earlier in your description that you were involved with ACLU and NAACP.
Hmm.
Uh, you, is there anything you have to offer about that? Because we talked last night a little bit, and you started going into a topic, and I don't know if you remember, but can you give us a little something about what you do in those aspects?
All right. So with my job at the ACLU of Delaware, when I first started volunteering for the ACLU of Delaware, I was what you call a Smart Justice Ambassador, and I went through training that they have so that I could become a Smart Justice Ambassador. One of the things at the time that we were working on was police reform and probation reform. They had bills, two bills out there that needed to get passed to give people a true second chance at life and also to have more transparency with the police. That's the police reform bill. We needed them to be more transparent. There were too many things, people losing their lives here in Delaware at the hands of police officers. Now, I'm not saying that all police officers are bad. I'm not saying that, but you do have some that are bad, and
Little
so we were
bullies.
just trying to, yeah, we were just trying to get a bill passed. And that was during the time of George Floyd and all of that. And, but what I'm working on now is police reform. I mean, it's probation reform. And the reason I've been working on it going into my fourth year, I'm now an employee with the ACLU of Delaware. I'm a full time employee. And so, what we're working on is to try and pass a very good bill for those that are on probation to truly have a second chance at life. Because no, I feel like people who are on probation should not have the same 13 conditions. If their charge had nothing to do with drugs, why are we putting them in task, and why are we
Yeah.
giving them a urine test every time that they go in? It just shouldn't be like that. And then we're also coming, it should be tailored to the crime that they committed. Okay. So that's one of the things. And my other thing is that we're coming for technical violations. And once again, I'm not saying that all probation officers are bad, but there are some that are. And I spent a lot of time in Sussex County, um, meeting different people on probation and hearing their stories last year, right? And I think that it's really distasteful to violate somebody for being a couple minutes late to their check-in appointment with their probation officer when they had to ride a bike or walk sometimes to the bus stop,
Bus is late.
then catch that bus all the way to Georgetown.
Hmm.
I just
And
think
it's
that
like,
there's a problem with it because when it was COVID, they checked in with everybody through, video. So why can't we do that now instead? Why can't we do check-ins through video anymore? We did it during COVID. Nobody was coming up into the probation office checking in. Sometimes it was by video. We got video court. So why can't we, get that service for probation? And just hearing some of the stories. There was a young lady, her probation supposed to be a year. Her probation ended up being 5 years because she didn't have the ability to pay her fines and fees because she has 5 children that she needs to take care of. It just finding out that you're violating somebody because they rather feed their kids than pay the fine or the fee. I
uh,
just think, that's just terrible. And I've heard a lot of worse stories, but with this probation reform, it is to help those that are on probation. Probation needs to be more uh, forth going with giving resources. Reach out to some of the local resources that are in your area, and refer people to those services to help them. You feel what I'm saying? We could
But
save taxpayers a whole lot of money if everybody wasn't given the same 13 conditions. I'm just saying.
that's I remember being on probation years ago. I've been on probation in a long time, long time. But
Mhm.
I remember being on probation, and just like you said, like the referral part, the resources, just being on probation was like uh, almost like walking the cattle through to the slaughter, because it felt like
Mhm.
I'm scared to go in the doors because I don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen once you get in that office.
Mhm.
And it was like that was it. That was all. The only conversation they wanted, only conversation that you had was, um, I don't want to get locked up. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Mr. Powell, um, you got this one strike and all this type of stuff. It was just more all that legal stuff instead of um, trying to help steer you away from going back to prison or slapping the cuffs on you. It was like there was no humanism there.
Right. Yep. Most of the most of the complaints I get about probation, or I mean, it happens throughout all of them, but a lot of them are from down Sussex. You
It's terrible.
know,
Yeah,
and off the chain down there.
yeah.
But a lot of it is from Sussex. I don't know what it is, but we've got to do better. You know what I mean? They got to do better, and this is why we're advocating. It's not just me. It's a whole coalition of people that want to see probation reform. I mean, let's give people a true, second chance. You got churches out here, faith leaders who feel the same way. So it's not just a smack thing. It's a lot of people behind this, and I pray that we get it this year. We get that bill to come across. It is um, it is needed here in the state of Delaware. I don't like to hear like our state being compared to countries when it comes to recidivism. You know what I'm saying? When it talks about our prison and how many people, are going to prison. Out of
The, the
Delaware,
smallest state.
23% of Delaware is black, and 48% is on probation or in prison.
Mhm.
That's not good. You're a part of DOC. 48%.
And it
That's
starts. It
horrible.
starts. It starts in the juveniles. It starts in the juvenile system, in the juvenile part. You know,
Yep.
it almost make you feel like it almost make you feel like it's not like a feeling. I'm not. Don't make you feel like it because I'm somewhere else with it mentally. I know that there's part of a setup there somewhere. You know,
Mhm.
um, from the age of 12 years old, that's when you start. Being caught up in the juvenile system. But
Right.
and just like that whole part about the different counties, there's a totally different mentality in Sussex. Um,
Mhm.
not saying as far as everybody in general, not saying that. I'm just saying as far as the judicial system and all that stuff, there's a whole different mentality there. But we also
Mhm.
have to remember the history of Sussex. The history of Sussex is extremely dark if we do some research. And it wasn't too long ago that the stuff was um, just like I don't want to say lifted because it's still not lifted. I mean, some people are still like blind to it, but we just have to do a little more research. I'm just gonna say that. I don't want to set myself up, but
Now I know
yeah,
exactly. I'm from Sussex, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I
yeah,
got the smack name is deep
and
rooted in Sussex,
it's
and my
rough.
father has shared some stories. My uncles, my cousins, the elders, you know what I mean, have shared
Mhm.
some stories, and yeah, that would be a whole nother podcast with some receipts.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
feel me?
I'm not gonna set myself up. Not for
Yeah,
that one. I, I like I like my sense of peace.
me
But
too.
okay, so smack. Before we wrap this up, do you have the information ready? Like information for people that if people want to contact you, or people want to check out your podcast, or people
Mhm.
want to just gain information that you might that they might you might be able to help them in some type of way, and talk about what uh
Yeah.
uh, uh your whole what you have to offer.
All right, so each and every other Wednesday we have the Warrior Speak podcast. You can catch it on House of Peach or Plug Studio Network, who produces the show, or any of us, Vonda Smack, Lisa Scott, Veronica Pitts, will also have it on our pages on social media. We're also on YouTube and Instagram. So we're on every other Wednesday. So we'll be on next Wednesday at 7 p.m. as long as, our health is up to par. Because there's sometimes Veronica and I are still going through treatment. And so sometimes, we're not feeling the best and we may say, hey, we need to do it next week. But that's how you can tune into us. We are an information podcast. We are here to help mentor people. As we said, if thinking about going to get a mammogram, and you want someone to go with you, we serve as a mentor to you. It is at no cost, and we'll go with you as long as it fits into our schedule. You can also have private conversations with us, and we can guide you through the process if it's something that you don't understand. Um, and a lot of people don't know that I'm back fighting again. Stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. See, that's another one, Derek. When you hear stage 4, people think you're dying. It's only
That's what.
stage
Yeah,
4 because it's spread. It spread to my bones. So I just want people out there who are warriors and faith leaders and people who believe in God to keep me lifted in prayer, because every day it is very hard. I'm always in pain. You wouldn't know that, but just keep me lifted. That's what I ask people to do. Send me funny videos. I like to laugh more than I like to feel pain. And I always tell people, just drop in my inbox some funny videos. I like to laugh, not frown. So that is what I ask of anybody tuned in. And I love what you have here, Derek. This is our community needs it. I really mean that. And anybody that's out there, we got to get to our youth. We got to get to our youth. They are the future, and we got to get their minds stronger. And stay tuned. There's more coming with cancer. With breast cancer. We're trying to work on some laws. I am sitting on a working group with the state of Delaware legislature. I am there as a survivor of cancer, so I can be able to tell my story as to why every cancer patient needs a PET scan, because I truly believe this second go round they could have caught it if they had given me a PET scan, and I never received one. So I'm fighting that PET scans are given when you find out you have cancer, in the middle, and in the end. And that's what I'm fighting for. We could probably save a whole lot of lives, because when people find out they have cancer the second time, just imagine what that does to the mind.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
out here fighting for.
All right. Thank you again, Smack,
You
for
welcome.
taking the time out to join us tonight on Life Chat Podcast. I just have to say this one last time. Well, one time I just gotta say this. Um, for the men, don't forget that we still, yes, men, we do and we can develop breast cancer. There's a small chance, smaller than the chance is not as high as women, but there is a chance that men that we can develop breast cancer. So do your research, because I've been reading a little bit more as I went along from um, when I checked it initially. But we just need to stay informed. You know, like we consider things to be small, but when it hits us, now it's a huge issue. So if we catch it in the beginning, in the early stage, or whatever it is, no matter what it is, um, we stand a greater chance of just living a better life. a fulfilling life. So we're gonna end that right there. Thank everybody for this that's going to watch the episode later tonight. Thank you for the viewers that watched that were on live tonight. Thank you, Smack, for being a part of the episode for tonight. Good night, everybody. Be blessed. Thank you. Be safe.
Welcome to the Life Chat Podcast, seeking the truth with Derek Powell, navigating you through. Every Wednesday night, new topics ignite. Join the journey, let's take flight. Bringing insights that change our view. Derek's voice, clear and true. Tune in each week, discover new light. Life Chat Podcast, reach a new height.